My teacher wildin' with this question. Question of the day. Happy Black History Month. Would you pick cotton for $200 an hour? First of all, for me, no. I would literally be a burnt tomato after one day. It's not like you're in the middle of a corn maze or anything. There is literally no shade to hide from the sun. This sounds nice until you get heat stroke for the 6th time. Found a completely military-based society. Claimed to be the strongest Aryan army in history. Fight one war, lose. Imagine going 0-1 in the history books. Like Poland might have disappeared multiple times, but they just kept coming back. The No-No Germans of World War II were literally around for just 13 years. Womp womp. Welcome to communism. It's time for your farming collective. Fine. You're also a communist country. Please, collective farming, finally. LOL. No. That's just how communist Poland rolled. Not out here just doing anything for the man like Czechoslovakia, Romania, Yugoslavia, Hungary, Bulgaria, and East Germany. Essentially, a lot of the countries at the top had their farming land taken and then became state-owned farms. Though this still did happen somewhat in Poland, a lot of the farmers there did get to keep their land. Pretty brave move by them, considering they were literally right next to the Soviet Union. They could have been invaded again. The Russia single-handedly won World War II starter pack. T-34 strong, proven myth. You dislike the USSR, you fascist pig, and they saved you from speaking German. But the Soviets won the Winter War against Finland. Looks like this. Is this the History Channel? Millions of Russian casualties. 3/4 of the German army. The other allies didn't lose like the Russians did. They practically sat back while Russia went to work. Now, I love to give the Soviet Union a lot of credit for World War II. It was their blood, after all, that helped win the war. How's that saying go? British intelligence, American steel, Russian blood. But to say they single-handedly won World War II... yeah, I'm not buying that. The USSR beat the No-No Germans single-handedly. Oh yeah? Let's look into the anti-No-No German partisans. How about the UK's air war, bombing campaigns, saboteurs in Europe, and codebreakers? How about the UK, the US, and Free France in the North African front? What about the US-UK fighting No-No Germany in Italy? Or how about the whole Western front in general? Or finally, how about this? Yep, the big one. The US supplying the USSR with over 300,000 trucks, 14,000 aircraft, 7,000 tanks, and 400,000 rifles, among other supplies. That's definitely the argument that is oftentimes brought up here. That's the American steel part of that quote I just showed. I know it's not a super clickbaity thing to say, but all the allies contributed in defeating the No-No Germans. Amateurs study tactics, professionals study logistics. Really can't put it better than that, honestly. Haha, French surrender monkeys. Meanwhile, the French in every historical confrontation. Yeah, keep in mind the French do have the most winningest military in history. They've won more battles than literally every other country. Of course, World War II is always the thing we keep in mind the most. And what I find even more impressive about the French is like, yeah, obviously the British are in that 2nd place spot really close behind France. They've almost won more battles in history than the French. But I always like to think, what would have happened to the British if they didn't have this small strip of water right here that separated them from continental Europe? The French, throughout their history, were literally surrounded by enemies at all times. Like, it's incredible what they were able to accomplish not being on an island or something, or even 2 oceans in the case of the US. I mean, they were constantly throwing hands with all their neighbors at one time throughout their history, and they were still getting all those dubs. How to integrate conquered nations. Rome versus the Assyrian Empire. First, we harmonize religions, then we build roads and change their language. First, we skin the adult men, then we put images of it everywhere so they don't forget. Okay, thanks for that, Assyrian Empire. I really didn't want to know that information, but okay. Take down a mammoth using a pointy stick. Refine pointy stick to be pointier. Accidentally invent the best weapon for the next 500,000 years. Wait, hold up. Come again? 500,000 years? Yeah, that is probably actually pretty accurate. I honestly do not care how long you've been studying the blade. I will be going out and partying. I will continue to still practice premarital sex because your katana is literally not gonna do anything against my pointy stick. I'm literally just gonna poke you from like over 7 feet away, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't even care if I have to run away and poke. It's a pretty simple but effective strategy. Throughout history, it's been very difficult to defeat long sticks. Bow and arrows were invented when someone said, I really want to stab that guy, but he's way over there. What's better than a knife? A knife on a stick. I need someone to save us from the Aztecs. Maybe send an angel, says Central American natives at the time. The best angel you have. Ja, 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 ja. Meanwhile, laughs in Spanish. Yeah, this is quite literally what happened. The other native tribes around the Aztecs hated them. It was doing so many messed up things. The only problem is these Spanish angels they called out for, well, they weren't exactly gonna be, angels. Might be one of those situations where the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. I can't see the movie I wanted because Netflix removed it. Worry not, my child. You can still watch my review of that movie. I like how this is literally how modern historians are able to learn the contents of some lost historical works. All copies of the book may be lost, but some ancient Roman guy's review of it is preserved a fragment or two, and that's better than nothing. All of history is literally just kind of written off the backs of like nostalgic critics around the world. This thrilling series reveals the shocking story of how fashion icon Christian Dior and his contemporaries, including Coco Chanel, Pierre Balmain, and Balenciaga, navigated the horrors of World War II and launched modern fashion. I feel like there is one fashion icon that's kind of missing here. Oh, that's right, I forgot about Hugo Boss. How convenient that is. A whole lot of people that still don't know about this, which I feel like they should. German businessman and was a very early member of the No German Party. He was literally responsible for the SS Fits. But apparently a lot of these fashion figures have had really checkered histories. It doesn't even surprise me though. The bomb and chain. Like a regular bomb, but with a long chain attached. Can be dropped like a regular bomb, if necessary, just by releasing the chain. Could attack from various altitudes by adjusting the length of the chain. Easier than non-dive bombing, we think. Safer than dive bombing, also probably. Can attack from a higher altitude. Bomb can be reused if failed to use. Can attack near the waterline if you're good enough. Why did we never think about this? This seems like a genius idea. Also, this was a great step-by-step on how to fold your plane in half like a lawn chair. I can literally imagine this happening. Haha, you French were all no Germans in World War II. In fact, you still are. By that conclusion, you were also no Germans, since you had 2 Russian SS divisions and you had this army who fought the French partisans in France. Oh yeah. Not 1, but 2 Russian SS divisions? Not to mention the Russians traded war materials until 6 or so hours after Barbarossa. Barbarossa is when Germany decided to attack the Soviet Union in World War II, because remember, they were kind of working together before that moment. What if the Balkans united? It already was. Yeah, just don't bring up the Ottoman Empire when talking about uniting this peninsula. That's gonna bring back some pretty horrific memories for him. But you can also use this as an example of it was. You could say it was united at least like 3 different times. There was also the Byzantine Empire at its peak. Pretty much just another version of Rome though. Turkey in their history books versus Turkey in any other country's history books. Almost every other country's history book. You could also say it was kind of united under the Axis alliance too. Kind of just one of those things where, you know, pick your poison. It's been united several times. Which one do you want? I'm sure that everyone's gonna pick Rome, but you know, there's options. Teddy Roosevelt watching his son storm Utah Beach wielding nothing but a pistol and a walking cane. Literally just making his pop proud out here. Remember, this man wanted to die on the battlefield of World War I by just like cavalry charging Germany. Clearly the apple did not fall far from the tree. 1960s NASA scientist after he shouted "Hail Hilter" as a joke, but half the room stood to attention. Yeah, quite the embarrassing moment for NASA there. Not really a funny joke. They were just snatching up those German scientists like hotcakes. Time traveler moves chair. Meanwhile, the timeline. All just from one chair moved to the left by like 3 inches. Now I have to study 1,000 different nations that have been broken apart in Europe. Man, geography class is gonna suck in this universe. Wait, I'm actually trying to figure out, like, did anything change? Is this just the Holy Roman Empire at its peak, at how horrifying it looked? How big Bohemia is looking though. The 7 Years' War lasted 7 years. The 30 Years' War lasted 30 years. The 100 Years' War lasted 116. Like, why not just name it correctly? I know these are nice, like, kind of round numbers, or at least numbers that just sound good. Like even 7 Years' War. I know the 116-year war doesn't sound that great, but at least it's accurate. King William be like, listen guys, can you subtly imply I'm a better ruler than my dumb dad in those accounts you write? The writers be like, say no more. We have William the Bad versus William the Second, the Good. I mean, you can't make it more subtle than that, can you? What else do you want? Attempting to occupy Nepal through brute force? Nah. Not offering lucrative positions for Nepalese soldiers in the British Army, creating a unique case of military brain drain lasting generations. That is definitely one strategy. British were pretty good at indirect rule. I mean, they had to be able to conquer like 25% of the Earth's surface. Imperial Japanese code breakers be like, look, I've studied English at university, okay? Whatever it is the American code talkers are saying, I'll understand. Meanwhile, Native American noises, specifically speaking Navajo, there's nothing about this I understand. I guess not. Nice try though, Japan. I always bring this up, but there's a great movie about this called Wind Talkers. I wonder what other language they considered to do this in though. Like obviously you need something that only the Americans have access to. Like something that comes to mind is like Hawaiian. I guess the problem with that is that there were a lot of Japanese people that lived in Hawaii. Maybe they were concerned about that. But there's also the Choctaw, the Cherokee, some Mayan languages, the Sioux, literally any conventionally attractive woman ever. Hear me out, guys, says, well, this is just another Spanish conquistador, isn't it? That was the thing about the Spanish Spanish's plan to colonize like 2 entire continents, there's a lot of people that were obviously down for that. No, Spanish boy, don't seek out fame and glory in the New World. The movie The Road to El Dorado taught me all I needed to know about that. It's probably had a lifelong impact on me now that I think about it, judging by my actions and behaviors still to this day. Macedonia existing again after literally more than 2,000 years. This was the last cameo I think we all were expecting. Like, out of all the nations to randomly make a comeback in the modern day, Macedonia was definitely not one of them. The end of the Third Macedonian War in 168 BC. They were finally abolished, but here we are in 2024 as they've made a comeback. What a twist. Mary Antoinette gets marched out of prison after a year of abuse and humiliation, looking sickly and disheveled before her public execution. Meanwhile, European nobility, they were really in love with that. They was gonna make that all the rage. They liked the abused and imprisoned look, I guess. Something cake. I wanted to say that, but that sounds really weird. I'm referring to her quote, not whatever. To my patrons this month, thank you. Lucas, the Canadian Goose from Avoca. ZaneyBoi, Sarsath, I cannot sleep without douche, amateur archaeology, aPhatNarwhal, WW2, Fredrik Tibblin, InquisitorXarius, KingBearHaze, KirinoIsBestGirl, Prentice, LuxembourgLover, and the Tambre 760.